The following conversation occurred on the 12th of September at the Tech Users Summit for 2024. This is a TUANZ conference that hosted so many different speakers, but in particular, this panel discussion called How to Accelerate Your Next Career Move with AI. The speakers that we have for this panel are truly amazing leaders and thinkers within the space of AI, particularly for Aotearoa's context. Vicky is a visionary leader who co-founded Empisoft, a technology institution that teaches software development, cybersecurity, and AI. Her perspective is truly unique, unlike most technology leaders, because of her powerful origin story. Next, we have Sid Kumar, who has a career spanning over 25 years in various industries in leadership and board member roles. He has led various tech initiatives that have significantly improved business outcomes using technology. But beyond that, he finds great meaning in guiding individuals and teams towards their full potential through coaching and mentoring. Last but not least, we have Ben Shihan. He is a seasoned sales leader responsible for the growth of Salesforce in New Zealand as Regional Vice President of Sales. And with 97% of businesses being small, Ben has worked across a plethora of industries and has strong business and sales intuition. The format of this podcast recording is very unique. We simply just put a MacBook on a desk and used Adobe Podcast to scrub all of the noisy and quiet video into something that is filmed in a production studio. And we used Descript to help us do the captioning and video editing of a lot of the gaps that happen in a natural conversation. But right here, we're showing you that we use AI to enable and accelerate this podcast's production. I highly recommend that you stay tuned, because the knowledge that every one of these speakers presents is truly going to revolutionize the way that we work. If not, it's already revolutionizing. And so please stay tuned and enjoy. So I'd love to just, first of all, start off the fact that you're the co-founder of Empisoft and you're involved with helping all these students get involved into technology. How has AI's impact changed since you started it to now?
The students, of course, they are learning from the best data science results and many things. But persuading the kids to AI technology is easy. Talking about ChatGPT or games, they will understand very easy. But persuading their parents is the most difficult part. They don't understand what is AI, and they don't understand why the kids need to study on this topic, and what's the future of the kid. So we are talking about something not visible, not touchable, things to the kids and parents and teachers. Of course, the usage of the daily usage, those technology usage of the daily life is, of course, it's very useful. But let them learn these things is another big challenge. So I'm not only persuading kids and teachers and parents, I'm also persuading entire Mongolian young people. Please open your eyes, study more, check, Google everything, learn more things like that.
Yeah, I'd love to pass it on to you, Sid. So I know that you're a champion of digital equity and inclusion, and I read your blog posts. He's quite an amazing writer, by the way, talking on many topics. But I want your understanding on a world where AI is increasingly prevalent. how do you envision bridging the gap between those who have access to AI and those that do not?
Digital equity is included in AI, right? And then one of my thoughts around that is, in order to understand equity, you first have to experience inequity. Whether it's digital, whether it's in general in life, you cannot understand equity without going. When Vicky was talking about Mongolia, that's when you feel the privilege, which we forget. I've been through that, come from India. I've seen a lot of things very similar to that. So I feel privileged to be here. I don't think we see it that way. And when you look at AI or technology in general, so part of my background is I work for a company called Network for Learning. And I'm a head of product there. It's a crown company, provides connectivity and protection to schools, all schools in Z. We have a problem here. And in New Zealand size, you look at the schools way in the middle of nowhere, what people say in little workforce, or in out in the world somewhere. There is no connect. How do you get a decent connectivity to a school where there are 6 students? The economics doesn't make sense. And for providers, it's very hard for them to provide a connection where there is something fun. What's amazingly done in this country is we've got fiber, 95% of it's in Europe, which is correct. So at least we can get that. The students can get, most of them, can get a decent connectivity, decent internet that works. So that's what brought me into learning as well. Where does AI now fit in? If you look at, and my work with recycling device, Ronnie's sitting right there, and so the program manager to that. It's about, you can get access, but what about devices? We can't get devices. There's so many households where there's no device. So if there's no device, parents cannot afford connectivity. How do you get AI? So there will be a gap. There will be always a gap. There will be a gap in many ways. Vicky was talking about language. If we cannot work in that situation where you don't have enough people understanding the language, that they will be lack of data. There are lots and lots of systemic things that are also do. It's not one simple solution button, turn off and click and then solve the hand. It's a long topic. Equity, we can talk about it another way.
I know you were super passionate about it, so I just had to ask a big vision question, but I'm going to ask you, Ben. So your extensive experience in New Zealand businesses, I want to understand particularly how AI and customer experience platforms, I want your experience. What is the most surprising way you've seen AI transform a person's career or trajectory?
Great question. You told me that you were going to throw some like curly ones at me. How I've seen it change careers, I think we're actually still at the starting point of that, right? And what we're starting to see is first, it goes off that natural flow of like how we use things. If we think about, take a step back on this, if we think about how we book a car to get from place to place now, right? Back when I first started my career, it was a case of picking up the phone, calling a taxi company, maybe them telling you it's going to be 60 to 90 minutes away and possibly waiting for them to no-show sort of thing. And we've now moved to this like point where it's an app and the Uber shows up within 2 or 3 minutes sort of thing. And that sort of experience has become like normal for us now. So the flip side of that, what we're going to start to see is businesses roll out more and more productivity platforms. They're going to utilize AI. They're going to use GPT. Us interacting with an autonomous agent is going to become the norm for us very soon, if it's not already. And we're going to start shifting towards away from this whole idea of AI being this new fandangled thing. Maybe I'll give it a shot and it'll help me build my CV or my LinkedIn profile or whatever it might be, to actually just becoming the norm. And what it means is that our whole skill set has to shift with that as well. And what I'm really quite optimistic about is that it's going to become part of our day-to-day, just like Uber did, just like Airbnb did, just like all these other tools did. And so naturally, it's just going to start falling into my hands more and more. So I couldn't point to one specific person that I said has just changed their career overnight sort of thing. I think we're going to start just to see it more change our lives in general over the next 2 to 3 years, and maybe even faster than that, which is genuinely really exciting.
Like cool questions on Cider. My favorite one that I'm just going to start off with, just a quick question to Sid. How do you know Derek is not an AI bot right now? I kind of did it.
Yeah, to figure that one.
I had it too. But no, getting into a bit more of a serious one now. Ben, just then you mentioned that with EBB and Uber things coming to our lives and it becoming more prevalent and just interfacing with AI all the time. I know just from some of the chats that have been around earlier today and previous AI conversations that I've been part of, trust is a big issue in that kind of take-up of using AI tools. And so we've had a question that's popped up that says, where does trust come into the AI conversation and what can we do to make it more trustworthy? And I'll throw that to you first, but then maybe we'll pass that down the line as well.
So there's obviously a really big subject around ethical if you may use some tools like AI as well, which I think I could talk about hours and hours about and really get stuck into. But ultimately, if we, and again, trust is a very big conversation to have as part of that as well. But if we boil this down to maybe the example that I used earlier today, think about a business wanting to institute an AI tool to make their lives of the product more efficient as well. The key thing that is only going to make that work effectively is if they can ground it within their company data, right? Now, the scary thing about that is that if you ground it within your company data and you're using a public AI model, does that mean that everybody else in the public has access to your company data? That's obviously a really big scary thing. And what's fascinating about this simultaneously is that you're seeing a couple of things happen. Number one is providers like us are having to take a step and go, you know what, trust has to come first and foremost. We have to build the underlying infrastructure to make sure that there's a clear delineation between company data that you're putting in and the public stuff to make sure that there's no sort of crossover between the two and you can still leverage these tools. Secondly is if you're going to go on the path of building your own LLM, that's obviously a massive lift and a massive change, but then they have the confidence and the ability to hold that data internally. I think what we're going to see is that over time, this is the idealistic person I'm talking as well, is it's going to be similar to cloud computing. And I remember having this conversation back in 2006, 2007, when I first started my career in technology. There was this real distrust of cloud, right? And now it's ubiquitous in our day-to-day lives. Literally, I remember having conversations with people. I don't want someone else being able to walk into the data center and just take my information. Whereas we don't even think anything about it now, do we? And that was largely because there was a significant amount of trust that was built up over time, and very generally speaking, few instances of that trust being taken away, right? So I think what we're going to start to see, and this again, the idealistic person we're speaking, is that the companies that are building these models, the companies that are launching to market, that has to be first and foremost. They have to be first thing about trust, security, safety, and everything else follows after that as well. So it's going to be a real fascinating landscape to watch over the next week.
Thank you. Cool. So,
Yeah, but it's slightly different. Like when I first got introduced to computers, that was on a kid. It's full. The concepts that we learned were garbage in, garbage out. It is still very much true. And how do I trust? And when I say AI, I'm very specific about cloud. AI, again, is a very broad term, which is totally based on probability. If it's based on probability, that means I'm trusting that whatever it's doing for me is trustworthy. I wouldn't trust my life for it. I would like to have a human involved in that. That's why I can get a human in the loop with that. So trust to me is very hard when it comes to AI on its own, especially large language. And to Ben's point, when you come to an organization that we're talking about small language model, what's contained, again, it's only as good as the data that is there. If the data is garbage, I can't swim across the data. It is truly dependent on what the piece that is close of data that is driving there. That if I trust that, then I can then trust the data.
To me. For me also similar with it, because what if we have a email with a platform, which is
having all other darkness at red or how much workers from home, which school I graduate from, or who is my husband, which school is my daughter in schooling, and how much my mom is patient, and everything. And why they created this platform is that the service of the government is quite complicated sometimes. You want to do something, you just take some money and beat the information and take the advantage. So that's why the government make it transparency. They created the platform, which is called e-Mongolia, which is completely copy-paste from Estonia to Mongolia. I trust my government to handle that. And because they have 3.4 million people, so information data bar with is the simple. Do whatever they want to do by data. They can run, they want to run some campaign, they can use it. And the interface, when I passed the immigration, I got the notification that the immigration officer is using your data. Instead, okay, the notification is coming because I'm passing the immigration ban, so I need to click yes. Otherwise, I cannot pass the immigration, right? Or the end of the year, the tax inspector is checking my tax paid or no. They need my data, just the tax, what price. I need to click yes, right? Interface that seems like I'm given permission to use my data, but I don't know the behind that, what it's going on and how much they are using my data for what, right? But if I don't trust, we can't do anything. If I trust 100%, I also feel suspicious, right? But they are doing it in the future using AI, what they can do.
So let's just imagine a future where we've got fully autonomous agents that are optimizing everything of our work. We are trusting this because there's human-in-the-loop checks and it's really transparent, as you mentioned. What does the human experience look like? What are the opportunities? What are the challenges in this future where everything is optimized with AI? And I want to open it up to anyone to start.
I'm really fascinated by this because I think it creates a huge opportunity for business, right? And I think it's the ability to repurpose people into jobs that they want to do. No, the guy that was talking earlier, nobody wants to come to work and spot marks on cool shells.
I'm going to go for the other example, probably even earlier than that, about the imagery, the inks and the food. Look, we're learning about it. So we're using AI to count bacteria, eggs, and pictures of poop. I can read a little bit.
And so I think there's this real interesting shift of skills that are going to happen, and this ability for people to upskill, right? If you think about it. So we've gone through these industrial revolutions in the past where people have gone, oh my goodness me, this is going to take my job, etc. But the reality is, we have more jobs available than ever before, right? We're a bigger population. And I point to a really close friend of mine who did an English degree, is a copywriter by trade, right? And then all of a sudden, 18 months ago, when ChatGPT came out, pretty much overnight, he went, oh my goodness me, what is this going to mean for my career? But what's happened is that he's still a copywriter, but the way that he goes about his work has completely changed. And so I think we're going to see this mass shift towards that. We're just going through another industrial revolution. And it just so happens this one's powered by AI. It's powered by GPT. Maybe that can be the tagline for it. And so I'm sales at the end of the day. And so I think it's really fascinating. For me, I'm someone who's super hot on the customer experience. I'm one of those consumers that I'd pay more for a better experience, right? I'm quite happy to do that. It means that businesses have the ability to really be customer-centric, to be really focused on their stakeholders and give them the service that they want on the channels that they choose without constantly having to resource that with expensive humans behind it and actually give those humans jobs that they want to do.
Yeah, any other unique perspective?
I think AI is a general technology, and think of electricity, take a internet. So it is not something that's very unique, specific. It's going to change the way we work, change the way we think. That is for sure. And, yeah, if you look at the spectrum, the AI fanatics, and you get some of the who think that it's just it's bad. But there is a middle ground right? I think the cynics need to shift the dial to see what's possible with analytics. Maybe need to see if there's something wrong with it. But this is here to stay. It is not going anywhere. Yes, it's been like, even when I was studying, we were doing neural networks at that time. That is not something that suddenly popped up. It's been in works since Alan Turing. So it's just coming around. What we are seeing is not in there yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now there's many extra people who is writing about it, and that's super interesting. How we need to get it in AI instruments. They create a story, and the story is hacking in the future. And after that story, they begin analyze what kind of technical issues here, what type of problems they are mentioning here, what's the solutions in it.
Yeah, another question from the audience, actually bringing it back to something that AI might not have changed, which I thought was a cool contrast. So what are some of the traditional ideas around career moves for young people to take that AI actually hasn't changed or that AI hasn't touched yet? So whether they're first coming into a job, or my parents always used to tell me to go into a place and drop the CV off, but everyone wanted CV online at that time. And so that was a very traditional sense that was changed. But is there anything maybe that AI hasn't changed about a career and about jobs?
If you look at things like what Halter's doing with AI-driven sound-powered animal collars, and they wrap collars around cows and can point them in the right direction where to go on particular point of time leads. I'm sorry to answer you a little bit off track, but when I ask you a question like, why aren't I saying this anything else? It's just like, why I genuinely don't. I think that's everywhere. It's already whether we see it or not. I've been my whole career in sales, and even the way that we sell or the way that we talk to our customers has really changed in the last 2 years. I don't think there's anything out there that has been touched on already. We need to be across it.
I think that's just the relationship between human to human, like coaching, nursing, something like that. Physically touching our heart, touching soul to soul, touching our spiritually, whatever.
There's certain jobs, careers, roles in society that are there that are more personal and where there's more connection needed. And it could be a religious, it could be spiritual, it could be clinical, it could be many, so that there will be always things. And that also leads to what kind of skills do you need?
Yeah, sorry to jump in there, but that's actually another question. People would love to know if there's any use cases and whether you actually use publicly accessible models yourselves. Just anything about how to use AI currently is another 3 questions about it. So
How do we use it in the day-to-day?
yeah.
Yep, we can surely go into that. So when I write for my personal website, I first started and said, okay, maybe I'll give it a shot and write this for me. I was horrified. I was actually horrified with what it came, right? It was like, this isn't me. This is not how I would write. So I wouldn't use it for that to replace me in my life. But what I use it for when I write, I ask it to change. I use it to punish it. Maybe look at what have I missed. So those are the people. So I use it more as a companion, not to replace what I do, but to act as a companion. Microsoft has done a good job by naming it Copilot, but I don't use Copilot. But for me, I don't use one model. I use 4 because they all give me different answers. Then I choose which one I like. That's the kind of, I try to keep it as a trend and not rather this is one time, use it and I get the answer. That is how I use different models for different things. There's something good in that. Again, similarly, I am a photographer, but I like black and white. And so for my art problems, I ask it to create an image. But I ask it to create a black and white in a way I will shoot. Right? So that's the thing. I don't want AI to replace it. I want to use it for what I can, make it my life easier, my life better, saves me time and something. Spell check was horrible in Word or everything. It's much better now. So that's where it's using that it can understand my style. It's not putting red lines everywhere. I like, why is this red? This is perfectly fine. So that's where I like it, that I can use it in a way that I want.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with what you mean. I don't think it replaces, especially like in a role like I am, which is reliant on human interaction, right? You've got to still build that relationship. You've got to still get in front of people, build that connection. That's really important. People buy from people that they like at the end of the day. But from a practical use case, I've got a team of 8 people that work with me. I can't be across all of them at every 1.5, and so we do cool things around if they have a Zoom call or a Google Meet call, transcription and summarization. And so I can actually see in summarized fashion what's been discussed, what are the action points, what are the key takeaways from the meeting. They're just having a custom, like providing coaching at scale. And so I can come and get the footnotes and go, okay, let's talk about these areas here. I actually pick that apart. That's a huge time saver, and it's actually, I'm someone with a relatively short attention span. And so it's actually been this like whole point of go, oh, cool, okay, let's talk about this in particular, as opposed to something about minutes of it.
I have a case, it's one in a hospital in Mali, and during the COVID time, that hospital got 50,000 people in straight, the long in straight. And after that hospital worked on machine AI tools and science, and they tried that, and they scanned that 50,000 X-ray pictures hospital, and around more than 100 people got the recognized nowadays. But all those pictures are checked by more than 20 years. They didn't cut the capture that they ever passed. And because of this, that they all the X-ray pictures all included the contact of the people for really the hospital contact back to the people, asked them to come to the cancer hospital to check it. Me, of course, all of them. So this is, I cannot say it's replace. I just say double check, right? Because sometimes that doctor must be so tired and not see it clear, right? I don't blame the doctors. They have a huge experience, like a beautiful heart, helped people. The first they couldn't see.
That's the whole pilot concept, but that it's not replacing, can both them working together.
Yes.
I want to present a statistic that's really powerful from the Microsoft Work Trend Index. If you're unfamiliar, I'll say right now, 71% of leaders would prefer less experienced candidates with AI skills other than people with more experience but no AI skills. So my question to you is, do you agree, disagree with the statement? It is a survey. How does this reshape career progression and lifelong learning for young leaders or young people in the industry with this particular statistic?
Mention that all those the screening CV platforms not working correctly, the messages like that. Why is that in the first screen, they missed the really talented people. And those people who are screened by the algorithm come to workplace working only 1 year because the numbers or the skills is not to really skill they have. So what I want to tell is that really want to hire some good people, need to have a human-to-human connection. Otherwise, we don't know. It's exactly the same like we are recruiting students in our university. Some students have a current score, top, but when we talk to them, they make change like this, or not respecting the showing the respect the teacher, or something is wrong with it. We never recruit them. Bye-bye, because activities are good. Some students are bad on mathematics, but they really to be really almost cry, I want to learn, because at least end of the day, first time need to have a gap to connect people to people.
There's that whole, I think it was like years and years ago, it was quite going around, I don't know whether it was real or not, about Bill Gates being like, I really like hiring lazy, smart people. Because the lazy, smart people will always find a way to get the job done as quick as possible. And I think that there's some truth to that, right? But yeah, like I think I like that approach. I think if you go to the job market today without any AI skills, like you go to be left for dust. Like it is an absolute must-have. And I'm not saying that you have to understand how LLM works and all that sort of stuff as well, but a foundational understanding of like how to use a tool like that's really important. Like it'd be like going into sales and not knowing how to use a cell phone. But that's where we're at today. Is you've got to get that level of foundational skills. And I would probably hire a less experienced candidate that has those skills than a more experienced candidate that doesn't.
Can I just ask, is that more because you think the person that has the AI skills will be able to pick everything else up fast?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And yeah, because if they show that they can see that there's a future ahead for these tools, and I as you clearly know, I'm on the opinion it's going to change the way that you'll work to everything up and in such a way that they're seeing that vision, they'll pick the next thing up with it.
Yeah, I'll give you a consultant answer. It depends. Because if it's a lot, less experience, more AI skill in some roles, that's not going to work. Especially you can looking for a tech role where you need experience. Like for example, take flying. You wouldn't get on a plane with a less experienced pilot with more AI. Not a high level. I say that's why I said it depends. It depends on the role you applying, role it is for. However, having that AI skill is very useful. So I would not put it on top of the experience, but I would put it apart. And then it depends on the role, where it fit, what do I need the role to do on that. That was my consulting.
No, thank you. I love the nuance and the perspective of each individual from that answer. So that's beautiful. I'll hand over you getting for audience.
Yeah, we've just got the questions flagging, so I'm just scrolling through it.
Processing everything.
Yeah, but one that just came in, actually wanted to know a little bit more about the specific models that you guys use, and then should private roles use instead, as I think what they asked in.
So I'll tell you, I use the ChatGPT. I recently found something called Pi.ai. That is an interesting one because it claims that it's got some, it's more empathetic. So I asked it, what do you mean by you're empathetic? So it explained that I respond in a way that is more human. I don't have empathy, but I respond that way. So I use these four. I think they're based on 4 different models, but that's my go-to. Private models, I think from a business perspective, I would, if anyone is working in any corporate, wherever, please don't use public model and use your data there. From your IT teams, what you can use, what you shouldn't. Even if you sign up for something, be clear on how you can use that in a corporate environment. And that's my strong advice. Anyone using either ChatGPT in a work environment,
To pretty much exclusively within the bounds of corporate permission. Thoughts?
Just for time's sake, we'll close this off with, and I always like closing off in a philosophical way. So we're gonna do this in a future where our technical skills meet. How can we ensure our human capacity for empathy and creativity and complex reasoning remains our most professional asset in the future of work?
Be human being.
There are certain skills that will never go. It's complex problem solving and critical thinking. And these are the skills that will always remain. If you look at those in your, whatever you do, either whether you're a doctor or lawyer, anything these are the skills that will always be there. Then you go into, okay, what is that is needed for the future? There are 2 core concepts which I would love every software engineer in this world to love: logic and philosophy. Easier skill. Absolutely. These are the things we treat them as abstract subjects and what does it mean? But the moment you go deeper, they put everything, every question. They don't have the answer. They put all the questions that we need work. Critical thinking, logic, philosophy, complex problem solving is fine working. And never we didn't come ever be.
You're completely agree with critical thinking. We only have to look at what's happened, misinformation, disinformation over the last 4 or so years and how that's impacted the world. I think that's an absolute one skill. Nothing replaces human-to-human connection. And we saw that in 2020, how everybody's lives changed because we couldn't have that human connection. Nothing replaces that. And I think outside of the hard skills, the soft skills, and continuing to work on building relationships, building connection with others is incredibly important. Yeah, I think since it is this stuff is a psych actor, it's a co-pilot by name, by nature.
Well, that was a beautiful conversation. I'd like to please state the panel speakers. And if you want the human connection with them, please hit them up on LinkedIn and talk to them because they're amazing people.